Whenever we work theologically from the New Testament, we tend to treat the Gospels as this one long passion narrative where Jesus died and was resurrected, and that's all that happened. But of course, when we read the Gospels, we find all of these healings, and these healings are presented to us as signs of the kingdom. And one of the questions that we sometimes fail to ask is just how are these physical healings signs of the kingdom? And one of the frequent answers is that, well, the healings are signs of how Jesus treats us spiritually. So he comes to physically address these physical bodies, and this shows his power to do stuff that's invisible, okay? Because he has the power to restore a limb, because he has the power to open blind eyes or to unstop deaf ears, that indicates that he has the power to do the stuff that really matters. In other words, the healings really are not significant of themselves, but they point to the spiritual work that Jesus does. Now, of course, the fact that they do point to the forgiveness of sins is indisputable. Jesus, when he is confronted with a couple of different sick people and heals them, he kind of looks at those around and says, well, so that you may know that the Son of Man has power on earth to forgive sins, I say to you, rise up and walk, or so on. So certainly the healings of the body do indicate Jesus' authority to forgive sins. But is that all that is going on with those healings? Well, I suggest the answer is quite the opposite. The reason that these healings are signs of the kingdom is because the kingdom ultimately will give ultimate healing of the body. That is what we confess with the resurrection of the dead. There will come a time when Jesus will take the bodies of his own people and completely heal them, where they will not suffer sickness any longer. And so when Jesus is walking around in Galilee and healing in Capernaum and so on, he isn't just demonstrating his power for its own sake. He is giving these people a taste of what the kingdom actually will ultimately do. Even though healing is not necessarily something we see every day, we do know that as we look forward to what Jesus will ultimately do for us, healing is very much at the core of his gift to us. Because after all, what did Adam bring into the world? He brought death through sin. And part of that bringing in of death is the introduction of sickness. It's the introduction of disease. So therefore, in countering what Adam did, in overcoming the death and sin that Adam brought into the world, Jesus does indeed bring healing in its fullest and most ultimate sense, not only for our souls, not only for our spirits, not only in terms of a general forgiveness of sins, but a forgiveness of sins that wipes the slate clean and gives us the full embodied perfection that God always intended for us.